One of the challenges for contracting data analysts is that when they approach clients and ask them if they have any projects or any work, the clients usually say, especially retail clients, they'll say things like, oh, we've got an ERP or a CRM system and we get all our reports from there. So how do you go about explaining to them the value you can get from those systems that they can't see? Because a lot of the time what happens is that the client only knows what they know. So they get these reports and they think that's the totality or the extent of the insights or value they can get from the data that they have in those systems. Okay, so I got actually asked a question on how can you go about explaining to the client that from those systems you can derive additional value. Now, if you are in that position where the client says, look, I've got an ERP or a CRM system that gives me the reports that I need, I don't need anything else, okay? You're never going to be able to go in and say, oh, give me the data and I'll see if I can find some value from you in that data. A, they won't give you the data, so there's no point asking. But secondly, if they did give you the data and you're trying to find some value from it, it's a very introspective way of trying to find value, because you're looking at it from your lens, not from their lens, okay? So the way you want to start is by actually asking them, do they have any business challenges or questions that they need answering that they can't currently do from their ERP or CRM system? Now, what you want to focus on is on anything on business operations or customers, because that's what those two systems focus on. That they have challenges that they can't answer. So then one of the things might be from a CRM system, they're like, look, we get data from our CRM system, tells us what our customers are doing and etc. But what we don't understand is what kind of segments are they, how do they behave, or what kind of cohorts? We can't look at cohorts. Or from a business operation point of view, they might say, look, we're struggling with trying to understand why between process A and process B things break down, okay? So they may have some challenges or some business question that the data that in the ERP and CRM system may be able to answer. So that's what you want to focus on. So don't go in saying, oh, give me access to your data, to your system, and I can give you some value, because you won't be able to do that, because you're thinking about value from what you know, not value from what they perceive value to be. So ask them what questions or challenges they have, and then look at the ones that can be answered through the ERP or CRM system. Now, once you've identified some of those questions and they're happy, that they want those answered, then you go and ask for an extract of that data, okay? So don't say, I want an automated feed, I want, access to your data warehouse, all that. It takes a long time, okay? Especially if they're larger companies where they have to get approval, you need to sign NDA, and it could take a whole lot of time, and by that time your sponsor or the person, the stakeholder that you're speaking to, has lost interest, okay? So what you want is just an extract, an anonymized extract, okay? Because you don't need to know any PII information. You're analyzing data. Even if it's around customers, you just need some kind of ID to identify the customer. If it's operation, you just need the data that goes into their system. You don't need any personal information. You probably don't need any financial information, okay? So they would be happy to give you extracts, okay? Obviously, if you can get access to their system and analyze that data, that's brilliant, but the easiest way is to get extracts from their systems, and hopefully you should know what data those ERP and CRM systems contain, because you should have done your research. Okay, once you've got those extracts, okay, the first thing I always recommend is do an exploratory data analysis. That's only just to validate that the numbers you're getting from the extracts match the numbers that they get from their systems, okay? Because if those don't match, then whatever you do subsequently won't match, and therefore there'll be discrepancies. So you want to make sure there's no discrepancy, because sometimes there's some really hidden business logic that's not evident, and it doesn't come out in discussion. It's only when you present the data, someone goes, oh yeah, we exclude these people, or we add this, or we multiply by this. There's always some hidden business logic that businesses have that will only be fleshed out once you've done an exploratory data analysis, and especially if that data analysis shows discrepancy between what you have found and what the reports produce. Before you go into analyzing the data to answer the business question or challenge, explain your methodology to the client, okay? Because the methodologies, don't forget, there can be many ways you could answer this question, but you've obviously gone through all of those and come up with the way that you want to answer it, so your methodology. Now, the reason I say you need to get the client to buy into your methodology is because if after the analysis they don't agree with how you have analyzed that data, the methodology that you have used, then it's all been pointless, because the approach that you've taken is not an agreed approach, okay? Sometimes there are many ways to analyze the data. You just need to make sure that everybody agrees on one way of analyzing that data, okay? So what I would recommend you do is come up with a methodology that you're going to use. Sit down with the client, your stakeholder, and say, this is the approach I'm going to take. Are you all happy with it? There may be some assumptions that I'm making. There may be some logic that I'll be applying. There may be some things that I need to include. are we all happy with that? And get agreement, okay? And then replay that back and say, thank you for your time. This is the methodology we agreed. These are the things that we're going to do. And then you've got it in writing when you replay it back in an email. One of the things you want to do when you're explaining the methodology is also explain your process. So because what's going to happen is when you go off to run your methodology and do the analysis to answer the business question, what you're going to have is a period where you go dark. So you're going to go dark for 2-3 weeks, if not 4 weeks, where you're cleaning the data, analyzing it, processing it. So what you want to do is tell the client, look, this is what I'm going to be doing. I may give you weekly updates, daily updates, whatever it is that's appropriate. That's what you want to be doing. Okay, so tell them what the process is, because what you don't want to do is suddenly disappear and they're wondering what's going on. Okay, so just tell them what the process is and tell them, look, I'm going to spending the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever it is, cleaning, analyzing, processing the data. I'll give you an update either at the end of the day, every 2 days, at the end of the week, whatever is appropriate. Agree with them and tell them what you're doing, because if you suddenly go dark and they don't hear from you, they may wonder what's going on. Now, in the process of cleaning, processing, analyzing the data, if you come across some insights that you think is useful, you might want to just share that with them and say, look, I've been doing the analysis. Did you know you have a group of people who do X, Y, Z? They may already know about it, they may not know about it, but try and share stuff with them. It fills that void period while you're doing the analysis with a bit of information that keeps them engaged. And hopefully, they'll sort of know that you are working on their project. Now, when you are providing these sort of insights or periodic updates, be very confident in what you're providing. Just make sure you double check, make sure they're validated, so that you're not presenting something that later on when you analyze, you go, oh crap, that's wrong because I didn't do this, or I didn't apply this filter, or I didn't apply this logic. So make sure you always double check that everything you share, you're very confident that what you are sharing is accurate. Now, once you've completed the analysis and you answer the business question, before you even show it to the client, do your due diligence, okay? Just go through the data, make sure all the numbers add up, make sure you've validated any of the logic that they've told you, just run some of the analysis again, just make sure the numbers are repeatable. What you want to make sure is that what you present is the final and most accurate version of the findings. What you don't want to do is suddenly realize after you've presented that you didn't do something and you have to go back and change it, because then they'll lose confidence in you. And as an analyst, you have to be right first time. So when you're presenting, what do you do? So the first thing you should do is never present the finding. You should present the question. You should say, this is what I'm answering, the business question, the business challenge. Okay, so we talked about a lot of the problems you're having. I focused in on this business problem or challenge, and we agreed this is what I'm going to be answering. Then next you talk about the methodology or the approach that you agreed with them, and say, we agreed this is how I'm going to answer it. Okay, that just reminds them and reinforces to them that they agreed to these things, so they can't later say, oh, actually that business problem wasn't really important, or that methodology I don't agree with. You're reminding them that they agreed to this, and this is the approach, and this is why you've gone down this road. Okay, so that it just reinforces in their head, oh yeah, we had the meetings weeks ago where we agreed the methodology and we agreed the approach, so therefore let's carry on. Okay, then what you do is don't go in too much technical detail about the analysis. You can keep that all for the appendices, what kind of analysis you ran, what statistics you use, all that kind of stuff, put in the appendix. You literally want to straight go into and say, look, here's the approach we took and this is what we found, okay? And then provide the findings, but provide them in a very succinct way that they understand it. Don't add too much complexity, don't add too many tables, too many numbers. It's good to provide in a narrative, in a story form, that they understand what it is. So you're basically telling them what the answer is. You'll be saying, this was your business question, here is the answer, and here's some numbers to support that, or to validate that, or to reinforce that. Okay, and then after you've answered the question, provide some recommendations, because they'll be wondering, well, what can we do with that? You would hopefully through the data be able to understand what they can do with it. Okay, and they may or may not agree with the recommendations, but it's always advisable to provide some recommendation. Okay, so that's how you add value from sort of ERP CRM system with the business itself, or the clients or the stakeholders don't think there's any value. Okay, it's always start off with if they have any business challenges, business questions that they need answering, and then work from there, and make sure along the way you agree the approach, make sure the data is validated through exploratory data analysis, and then present the findings in a way that answers the question very succinctly. Well, thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do like and share the video, and of course please do subscribe to my channel.